Good morning, everyone, and I'm back. Hope you had a nice weekend and Veterans Day for USA here, and just wanted to say it was a great weekend, and thank you to all of the people that served for our country. And yeah, so getting started today, we're working on the game again, doing some golf game. There's some logistic things I got to figure out and solve, and it's kind of like getting started. So develop a couple of parts that go into place, and then we'll get it all working here. But the basics, get some more basics in place, and then we're going to be able to create all kinds of holes, and they'll all work. So this part I'm doing right now has to do with the physics engine, has to do with some of the gameplay, like when you click here, then you're going to do this, or if you're going to hit the ball, how you aim it, and we're going to get into some of that stuff today. So welcome aboard, and off we go. Okay, so here we are. This is what I have so far. Trying to decide how to put the ball into the game and drop it into play. I had to do a little bit of design changes on the hole itself over the weekend. One of the items is this ground floor. I needed it to actually be a different restitution when it bounces, when the ball bounces on it, than the sides. The sides need to be about 90% so that when you hit a side, it comes back off the side. And the ground where you drop the ball needed to be about one or two, just so that it doesn't endlessly bounce right off the thing if you go over one little hill or something. So doing a little bit of help on those areas, and I got those in place. I had to separate the ground floor from the side floor so that the different molds that make them up could be set to a different physics setting for the game engine. So with that said, we now have a handful of things in place and ready to continue on our way. The next thing that I'm working on here is I need to set up some type of way to basically say, hey, I want to play, and you click a button, and next thing you know, you've got your ball and you're ready to go. So what I was thinking is something like, for now, I put it on this little black area here. If you click it, then basically I'm dropping the ball into the scene, but notice it's over by the flag. It turns out the black area, because it's part of the Blender object, when the transformations come in, it actually made it part of the all one design. So 000 is the transformation, and this mesh over here and this one are all the same 000 coordinates. So I wasn't able to read the separate ones for each separate part. Because of that, now I need to kind of get creative and think of a better way to do it. What I thought about was taking a cube. If I take a square and I bring it out over here where I want to drop the ball for them to play, if I put it above over here and make that the point where I can tell it, find this point and drop a ball from that position to begin, that kind of gets you into place and lets you start playing in the game coordinates system and stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's where I'm going to start with, and we'll see if we can't get some of these things in place. We're going to go from there, see where we end up. We may be adjusting some things along the way. We may be, we'll figure it out as we go. Open Golf GUI, that's this section here. I think I want to separate the ball drop from that and make it a separate function so that so we can open the GUI if the ball already exists, or we can have it create the ball if the ball doesn't exist. So let's separate this into two different functions, and then we'll mess around with how the ball looks, how it plays, the whole bit. But a couple pieces. We're going to create this one, and we're going to say add ball, or we'll call it add golf ball. Not that there's going to be a ball and then a golf ball separate, but you never know. Okay. In this section, we're going to, for now, I was randomly calling some stuff and creating these things. Good morning. Hello. Okay, so this part. Yeah, I'm thinking. This needs to be part of the ball design when we open the hole. We'll think about where we want that to be. This part here drops a ball into the scene. Got a couple different ways of doing that. I'm going to take this stuff here, move it over to this function. Picked name isn't, yeah, we'll decide if we need that in a minute. Okay. First thing is naming conventions. We need to kind of name things in a way that they make sense and we're able to do something with it. Since this is already planning to be a multiplayer game, I kind of want to make it based on the player's avatar's instance, so that each instance can have one ball and one ball only. That will kind of help it. That'll help us decide if it's created and how and what. We'll do some things with that. Okay, we don't need that. That part there is going to be an issue, but the T is not going to be the item we're working with. Okay, that's why we're doing these things. Let's start with something and then we'll build something else out of it, right? Isn't that the general sense of the whole thing? I'm going to mark out that, but I moved it out of that other function because it just doesn't belong there. When we click this section up here, it's going to create the power meter, the hit button, and the direction controls. And then we're going to know that we're ready to hit the ball. But before we do that, we need to tell it when we click on this particular item, it's right up here. If we click on the T ground, the first thing we're going to do is we need to open that up. Here's the deal. When we create the scene, this is kind of crucial. We need to be able to create this section, the place where the ball is going to be dropped from. So if we basic molds, and call this, where do I want this? I want this well, for now we're going to drop it here. It's not going to be part of this in the long run. What we need to do is this will be part of the actual golf hole that we're going to play, and it'll find this location and then it'll drop it. For now I'm setting it to a color, and we're going to have to set it where we want it to be. We're going to say add golf ball just so that we know right here. And we'll put that here. I want to do two things. We're going to tell it, I didn't mean to push X. We're going to tell it to add the golf ball when we do that, and we're going to take this item and move it into this add golf ball function so that it knows after that happens, we're going to tell it to open up the GUI. But for beginners, let's set this to, we're going to call this, we'll call it Dropbox because it's where the ball is going to drop from. We don't need a random number in there for now. What's that? Hi, Eva. Good morning. And everybody else joining us, thank you for joining me this morning. We're working on our golf game. We're figuring things out as we go. Hole 1, Dropbox. That's what we'll call it. And for now, we don't need a mouse over. We can take that off. Okay, that gets the basics in there. Let me just see what. Let me make sure that that is creating the white box, which is over by the flag right now. Where it should be showing back up there when I click. Okay, so when I click this, yes, we have the box. Now I want the box to be right in front of where the putter is. So let's see, what direction do we need to go? I'm going to try moving this 10 in the Z direction first. Let's see if it comes towards us or away from us. It's one way to figure it out. And when I click that, nope, that's not it. Had a feeling I was going to do that. And let's go 20 in the X direction. It's either going to be far away from us or pretty darn close. Ah, bummer. Okay, and when I click it, oh, I think it's closer, but it's off the ground, so it isn't appearing as close as we think it is, but it's actually heading the right direction. Instead of 5, I want that to be about 1 off the ground. Let's see if that even shows. It might drop into the ground. Let's try 25, see where we end up. I know there's a scientific way of doing this. I could take the flag, move it this direction, see how far I have to move it, and then take those numbers. That would probably be a little easier than what I'm doing, especially since I'm just trying to guess. Okay, see where it is? That's about halfway there. Let's go 45. That's why I dropped it to 1, because now it's in the ground instead of hovering above the ground. Better frame of reference. And we're getting closer. You know what? Okay, I'm going to actually, let's see where this is at. This is at 64, so if I go like 62 in that direction, that ought to do it. Okay. I know there's a way to figure that out. So if we go 62, let's first see where that is, just to double check. Want to make sure we're in about the right spot. Because I don't want it to be off the black part, because otherwise the ball is going to bounce weird. Okay, and when I click this, yeah, it's right in front of the ball. Not too bad. That's not bad at all. Okay, then what I want to do is I'm going to raise that to about that height. Now, when you click this, I was telling it to create. That's going to fail already, by the way. That's not even this name. Okay, so we already know this item here is the Dropbox. I'm going to rename it to Dropbox just so we know what we're dealing with here. And then I need to get the world position of the Dropbox. That will tell me where I want the ball to start so that when I drop it, it basically, we're going to make sure the Dropbox has no collisions. That would be a mistake. So Dropbox, check collisions equals false. Otherwise the ball's never going to drop out of it. Okay, so we turned off the check collisions on the Dropbox so that it doesn't hold the ball within it. That gives us an absolute position. We're going to create a sphere. It's going to be about that size. We're going to call it golf ball for now. That should be enough for the name. And then it's going to create it in that position. And we did not add the physics to it. Let's say if we get a ball in that position, it's a sphere. It should be basically white. Let's see what happens when I do that. And since it's above the ground, let's see if we get that far. We'll worry about the details afterwards. I think right now I set it so that all spheres have gravity. So, oh, see, that's interesting. Why is that there when this is here? It did not get the world position of that box correctly. Otherwise, it would have started in front of... Why does it start above the box? That's kind of an interesting piece. Because the box... No, the box should have been world positions. World positions should have translated, and we should have actually had... What are the world positions on? Well, this item, we get the world position on that, and yet the sphere... what is the sphere parenting to? That may... If the parent isn't at 0, 0, 0, that would explain why it doesn't have it there. When I create this, I called it sphere and I told it to create... I'm just thinking through this, just thinking through it. Well, the idea is if I take that and then if I click hit, whoa, that just jumped it to there. Why didn't it? Oh, it just restarted it. Oh, I didn't hit that right. Oh, okay, I know what that is. There's two pieces here. Like I said, I started putting all the pieces in place, and so now I've got to kind of reconnect the dots because I experimented with about 20 different things yesterday. So what we want to do is we want to first of all name the golf ball based off of the instance name of our player. That way we can find the golf ball and anything to do with it very quickly and easy. Want to make sure, okay, index of golf ball. We'll talk about that stuff in a second. We're going to follow it through the steps because one of the things I did was once the golf ball is there, if you click on it, index of golf ball, we're going to get rid of that hyphen in front of it. Just to make sure. We're going to call this golf ball plus dget t instance ID. That will give it the same instance as our user, which will make it real easy to find the golf ball at any point in time, which is what we want to do. So we're calling it that, and every player gets one instance, every person in a multiplayer scene. So I'm trying to plan out the multiplayer while I'm creating it first. I know sometimes it'd be easier just to create it as a single player and then make it multiplayer. But if you have it in mind at the beginning, then there's some things you can do that'll save us time later on. So the first thing is that. Then when you click on an item, if it's golf ball, okay, T will drop the ball, and that worked. Then if you clicked it and it's golf ball, then this one is once again going to open the GUI. Maybe we don't need to open the GUI until we do that. This would be when you click on the actual golf ball. So open the GUI. Okay, we're not gonna automatically open it here. But now that we know the name of it, we're going to get the name through the GUI. It goes through here, and that will make the ball hit the actual ball and move it when we click it. Let's check that. We just had to fix a couple things in the references. So the first thing is when we click this, it's going to drop the ball. Don't worry, that box is going to be hidden by the time I'm done. I don't see a ball. How did we lose the ball altogether? By naming it, we lost the ball. That's interesting. So add golf ball, we get this piece, and then we add this, which is the golf ball, afterwards. Maybe there is something in the name that's causing that to do that. No, that should be there. Oh, I added 3 to the absolute position. That explains why it didn't come up in the regular place when I did it. Okay, it should get the same as the Dropbox. And 2 things, we're going to turn this one to hidden so that it doesn't show it. And then when we drop this, it should automatically give us the ball. Let's find out what happens. Okay, first things first, when I click this, we get an error. Okay. Cannot read value of null. Oh, my name, I got that wrong. Let me see. It's not T instance ID. Actually, I can find that real quick. It's on the load avatars page all over the place, like about every 5th line. Load avatars. WTW instance ID. That's why. Forgot I changed all those names so that they're correct, actually, to make sure that they're instanced by WalkTheWeb. Just so you know, stuff I write compared to stuff everybody else writes. My stuff all starts with WTW. Okay, so that will give us the name, and now we should see a golf ball. That'll be a better sign. And get the avatar in here. And when there he is, loaded. When I click that, there's the ball, and I purposely have it waiting a couple seconds before dropping, but it drops in front of you. Then if you click the ball, it didn't do it. When I click the ball, nope, that didn't do it. Okay, let's find out what's happening when we click the ball. We register the mouse over, so the golf ball should have some type of mouse over available functionality. And it's at that position, it drops it, we're good on all that. I don't need to keep showing that position. And then, well, if it's the first time and we drop the ball, I can automatically do that, but we'd have to make sure that the pick name, oh, that's actually easy enough to do. Pick name is this. Let's put a hyphen in the name. That makes it easier. So if I change the pick name to this and open GUI, now it knows what ball to hit. Let's try that. After the first time, then it'll be when you click the ball, you'll be able to hit it. So we're working some logic into this as we go. But for beginning, once the avatar is all the way in and the animation starts, then it's fully loaded. I click this and we get this option and the ball drops. We can set that to a faster amount. It doesn't have to wait 3 seconds. I was doing it because I want to make sure that the physics doesn't start before the scene develops. Otherwise, what will happen is it'll actually drop right through the floor. Oh, but now, that was before I was loading them at the same time. Now that we have the scene here and you have to click this to make it work, we're already there. So we really don't need that other piece. So now, if I click hit, okay, I have the direction going off to the side, but notice it did function. Next, we got to aim the ball with direction to be able to hit it. So we're getting there. We're getting there. So now if I click the ball, I should be able to hit it again. And yeah, see, we do have control of the ball and we do have control of hitting it. We just haven't set the direction that we want to hit it. We're going to do some things that align the direction. We're going to make the guy go over towards the ball, wherever it's at. We're going to animate the club. These things are all going to come in time. But for beginning part, what we need to do is we need to make it where you can actually aim the direction of the ball with this tab right here. You need to be able to go back and forth and decide what it's going to do. And it should have some type of arrow coming out of the ball so that you have a choice of where to aim the ball. By beginning, I think it should automatically go towards the flag. That would be wise, because then no matter what, it's always right towards the flag. And yeah, that kind of gives us one point of reference of where we're trying to hit it all the time. If you have a dog leg, of course, it's going to be pointing at the sidewall, and you're going to have to readjust and aim. We'll figure out some things about that later on. But in the meantime, we're just going to make it go towards the flag. So the first thing we want to do is when you open this part to hit the ball, we need to have the ball itself project an arrow towards the flag. Trying to think of what's the best way to do that. We can create, trying to think of a nice animated way. We can go with an arrow with lines. We can go with a plane that moves and shifts. That's not as easy, or not as nice friendly. I think having it be an arrow. Yeah, an arrow using lines kind of feels right. So what we want to do is let's okay, so this is where it opens. What we're going to want to know is, we already know the golf ball because it's the picked name. So if we come in here and we're going to create a line based on where the golf ball is and where the flag is for the current scene that we're in, which means we're going to need to identify the flag as a specific item in this scene. Otherwise, we're not gonna know where it is. We're not gonna know the name of it. There's some naming convention things I've got to plan here. Okay, first things first, we're gonna want the world position of the ball. So I'm going to copy that, and first thing we're going to do is var golf ball equals scene get mesh by ID, and the name of it is the pick name because we're always opening this using the golf ball. And then once we have that golf ball, we get the world position, which means anywhere it's sitting, even if they moved all kinds of stuff, it's going to be the world position of the golf ball. And from there, we're going to need to use, let's create a line. Let's see, how do we create a line? Let's go to, I know I've done this a bunch of times. I know I have it going through. Well, the easiest way, let's just look it up in Babylon. I don't want to get technical on some way I did it in the past. Okay. Create line. Okay, I don't need... lines, updatable option. Updatable option definitely is true. We're going to use that. So the first thing we do is create points. Okay. And we're going to do it kind of this way. For now, I'm going to draw a line all the way to 0, 0, 0, which would be 0, 0, 0 would be where the flag is, because we actually built the cup hole based off of the flag area where it finishes and built it backwards. So the actual center of this whole scene is on the cup, which makes it kind of convenient for the flag distance, the location of the cup, where we're going to be going this whole time. Makes it real nice. So let's see, we want add points this dot x, this dot y, which is the golf ball, this dot z, and then from there, once we have the points, it's as simple as this. I knew there was a simple way to do this. The line, lines. We're going to call it aim line, just because it's kind of what it is. And let's see it draw that on the page before we go any farther, and then we'll worry about where we're going next with it. Okay, so by clicking here, yes, we have a white line going right towards the flag. Oh, it was where the ball was before we dropped it. Okay. That's, yeah, kind of right, but not. Let's see if I click this. Yeah, it didn't draw a new line. Okay. Yeah, we need to... If we make the line parent to the ball, then it'll move with the ball. Actually, let's call that aim line. Okay. Parent it to the golf ball. Let's see if it actually moves with it. I'm just curious. At this point, I'm just curious. I drop the ball. Oh, it's facing the other direction now. Golf ball is facing that way. That's very interesting. It made it go from this position to 0, 0, 0, but then it rotated it 180 degrees out of phase because of the... Okay, I see where we're going. That's not necessarily a problem. I don't know if that's going to make any difference, but let's start it on that end and see if it... Actually, that won't make a difference. It's going to be the same line. Yeah. And it dropped it, but it moved with it now. That's nice. That's nice. That's good to know. Okay. We're... Trying to think of... Now notice how the line disappears before it gets to the cup. It's because 000 is actually under the ground. So that was why it finished earlier than that. That's fine. We could leave y distance, which is up and down 0. Then it will automatically stay horizontal with wherever the ball's at. But the only thing about that is if we're above or below the cup, I don't know, let's leave it directly at it for now, just in case we're dealing with height different stuff, then we'll definitely know which direction to go. Okay, so then from there, I'm trying to think of the parent of the ball. Why is the ball facing the other direction? We didn't rotate it. I guess that's... There is no rotation on the ball. That would need to rotate the direction of the... Rotate the direction of the cup when you add the golf ball. We could... We could do that, but I think it's going to be kind of worthless at this point. Or is it? We don't need to always aim it differently, because if I put a stripe on the ball, then it's always going to be rotating a certain way towards the ball. I don't want that kind of consistency with the way it drops and the way it spins. It looks more realistic if you don't. So the ideal thing would be, now we take this and... Just trying to think of the best way to make the direction hook up to that. First of all, this line is backwards from where we want it to be, and so we're going to be rotating it in a particular direction anyway. This is where it always screws me up. It's because I'm going from one point here to the next point, but those are world graphics points. That tells me where that is. That tells me where that is. But this is no longer where that arrow is pointing because we parented it. We shouldn't parent it. Well, if I parent it to the ball, that's the best place, because it's always from the center of the ball. I know I'm talking myself into and out of a bunch of different conditions here. I get myself in trouble every time I deal with coordinates. And can you believe it? I went all the way through calculus in college. It's just been too many years. Okay, I have that line. We created the line. We parented the line. Now I want the line itself to rotate and go towards the hole. So let's see. That would be aim line dot rotation y equals get radians get radians. I know that's the function, even though it didn't say it. And the angle that we're going to rotate it is the point conversion, which I've already written these functions, so I don't want to write them again. Let's see. Let me get to the functions. There's two functions that help us. You know what? Actually, I have one function that'll get us right to where this item is all the way to this piece. Connect shopping. Sorry. Well, it's easier to just find it here. Core common. Find get my direction. Get my angle. To point. Let's see, that's me. That's not the reference of this. Notice there's a 270-degree camera angle adjustment and the building angle. Okay, I have to take control a couple things. Okay, get angle to point. This function should be able to get my angle where'd I go? That's the one I wanted. Get angle to point. So WTW dot get angle to point. And it's going to be my position, which is the golf ball position. X and Z. Because notice Y is straight up. So X and Z. Then I need the position of where I want to hit it in world space. In this case, it is vector 0, 0, 0, which is where the flag is. So let's see if that fixes it, or are we out of phase, which is still a possibility. We may be still out of phase because of some of the parenting and stuff that we went through on this stuff. Okay, if I click on here, ooh, there we go. It went the right direction, which is always a good sign. And it's heading right for the flag. I kind of like that. That's nice to know. What's that? Oh, thank you for following me 2 days ago. Okay. Yeah, thank you for joining me, and it's always cool. Welcome back. Yeah, we're creating this game I'm working on right now. See, we have the pressure of how hard we want to hit the ball, but it's not following the direction that I'm aiming it. So we're going to do some things and make sure that it goes the right direction when we hit the ball. And that's part of our aiming guide, which popped up on the bottom. So we're going to set the aim, and then we're going to, then we're going to do something with it. So let's see. First thing. Okay, we go here. We're aiming the ball the right direction. It's dropping the ball into the scene, which, by the way, I'm going to speed up right now. We do not need to wait each time the ball is created anymore. That was something I was doing as a temporary fix on a different piece. See, we set the window timeout so that it happened only after a certain amount of time. But now we're only adding it into the scene. Don't worry about it being in the sphere. Also, we're not doing this with all spheres for the moment. We are, but that's going to be part of the game by the time I'm done. So, okay, so now when I add it to the scene, it should be okay because the scene's already there. And when we click on the base down here, boom, which we'll explain to everybody at the time. See, it starts below it. I do not know why it does that. It's something about the build order of the particular items. Let me see. See, the ball actually ends up underneath it if I'm not careful. See, that's why I put that part in there. Yeah, let's see if it's going to do it or not. Nope, see, the ball's underneath it. Okay, fine. You can't add the physics. That's a learning experience. You can't add the physics until after the ball is, or the scene is created. Otherwise, it drops right through because of the order of the way it adds it. Even with a slight delay of even 1 second, when I click this, and letting the scene all draw. And when I click it, now the ball's above it and it stays above it. Okay, fine, if that's what it wants me to do. Now what I need to do is, first of all, I need to make it adjust the direction of that line based on this movement right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell it to rotate the line itself on the moving of that item. I'm in the wrong file. That would help. Let's get back to our golf game. Aim line is exactly that. And what we're going to do is this part here, we're going to tell it to, oh, it's where I created the, okay, when I created that slider, that's the hit button, here's the aim slider, and this is where it's going to be. So the value that comes in here is basically negative 75 to positive 75. Those are going to be degree angles. And then I need to take this. First thing is the aim line. So we're going to find the aim line that we have. We're getting there. Bar aim line equals scene get mesh by ID, and we know it's called aim line. I'll worry about some of this naming stuff later on, but for now that's fine. If aim line is not null, then rotation of the aim line. First of all, I want to recalculate the golf ball. No. From the aim line, the world position of the line would be, I'm going to find out what the world position is on it and see if it's the first point, because if it's the first point, I already know, based on it, I could find out what the value is of its position. So let's find out, first of all, world position of the aim line. Am I doing more than I need to do? Oh, wait a minute. See, my problem is this. I need to know this rotation of that particular point of where it's currently at to the 0, 0, 0 of that scene, which means this. I'm getting there. I need to know where this position is so that I can adjust it based on the near positions from it. So the aim line rotation is equal to this, and then it'll be angled to the point, and then it'll be plus or minus the value based on if it's positive or negative number. So if I say plus value, that would be the new point that it's going to aim, because it takes the angle directly to it and then goes by percentage, or we need to make that, we're going to have to change the precision probably so that it knows it can do point marks, otherwise you're not going to be able to get right at the hole. But that's okay, that's another story. Let me see if that does what we think it does, or does that just screw everything up? We're going to find out right now. Since it's parented to it, oh, we just added another dynamic. The ball's rotation is going to matter, because if the ball rotates sideways, X and Y to the ball could be up and down. I think we're going to have to do something else to aim this. Aim it on a world grid direction. We can't parent it on the ball. I don't think we can parent it on the ball. Huh. We're going to think about that one for a second. We're going to... Yeah, because I have a feeling that this isn't going to work. By parenting on the ball, it works fine when we're going that direction and we calculated it that way. But if I move this... Oh, hey, we actually do have it. Did the ball rotate, though? So if I say go that direction, I'm just curious. Notice, get linear velocity of null. Okay, never mind on that. We'll figure out why. See, the ball, the axis moves, but when we recalculate it, because it fell into place wherever it's angled now, and if I click on the ball, tell it I want to do it again, oh, it created the new line, and then the new line is, no, it still has the old line. When we hit the ball, we need to make the line disappear, so that's all fine. You know, I think we're going to be okay. Because world grid XYZ is going to... Yeah, I think we're okay. We're only dealing with the point. We're not dealing with the rotation of the ball. Okay. Well, we're going to find out. Get linear velocity of null came up blank. So this allows us to aim. But we need to pick up... Excuse me. We need to know what direction that is actually going. We're going to have some point. The other end of the line has a point, but I don't know how to grab it. Our rotation angle, we can use our angle to... Well, if we set the angle to that... when we hit the ball, first of all, linear mold imposter what? Index of golf ball. Oh, okay. What I want to do is, we're not grabbing the right object when we actually hit the golf ball. But what I can do is we're going to set this a little different. The mold name is not the most important piece here. The golf ball is called... So the mold name, we don't need that mold name right there. The golf ball is called, remember we named it based on our instance, so we can do that, and we can put that there, and also wherever it says mold, we know that's a golf ball, so we're going to adjust that to make sure that we know what we're dealing with here. And we're doing all the physics with that, doing all the calculations based on that golf ball, and we're stopping it so it degrades as it goes. When we hit the golf ball, the other piece that we want to do is we're going to take the line and make it disappear. That way when we create another line and aim again, then we're definitely going to do it that way. So var this equals scene get mesh by D. Oops, put that in quotes. And oh, this is where it's going to be. Aimline dot dispose is going to be at the end of this after we figure out the direction. Oh, we'll figure out the direction first. Okay. So let's take this direction, and is the direction in direction I believe is radians, which we should be able to say aimline dot rotation y. Let's see if it goes the direction we just told it to. And then we're grabbing our golf ball and telling it to move. Let's see what happens. Anybody confident that it's going to work? Or have you been watching me program and you realize that nothing works first try? Oh, thank you. Okay, when I click the thing, it drops the ball and it's aimed right at the flag. We can adjust the direction. I'm going to aim it that way just to do it. Click hit, and what did it do? Nothing. Hit golf ball SCSNS is not defined. Okay. Oh, the rotation needs to be a different type of thing. It needs to be a vector. Okay, so okay, let me figure out a quick angle to vector. Let's see, give an angle and length. Length, we can do any random length we want. X coordinate, Y coordinate, angle and length, and it's going to return so two values, X and Y, to that angle. Okay, this, we're going to try this and see if that, well, let me do that now. Well, I grabbed it. Okay, so first thing is we need to create the vector. It is going to be a vector 3, so it's going to be new Babylon vector 3. So vector 3, and it's going to be based on this angle, which needs to convert to that right there converts this to, it needs to be radians. Okay, so we're good with radians. So we should be able to, length could be 1, which would get rid of that altogether. So what we need is, for x, it would be math cosine. That could be 90 degrees off. You do realize that before I start. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to probably be 90 degrees off. But we're going to figure that out. We're going to go math cosine this. We're going to say the y value is 0 because we're only going in a left and right direction. And then this one's going to be math sine. We got to remember that we are working in Babylon, which is a left-handed coordinate system, which means that'll also mean I'm probably 90 degrees off, and I may be applying a negative to either the cosine or the sine to make this work. But we should be heading in some type of direction proportional to the direction we think we're aiming. Fingers crossed. Thanks. I need it. Okay. This is a lot of just me going, okay, it's something like this, but the reason I hesitate the whole time is, yes, I do know geometry, yes, I do know calculus and all these other things, but for some reason it all goes out the door as soon as I think of a left-handed coordinate system and I start doing it. I end up being off, no matter how I think it, how I feel like I'm going to do something. Okay, I'm going to aim right at this corner over there. Whoops. I bumped something else. Let's reset that. Drop the ball. Nope, we don't have the thing again. Okay, fine. Let me refresh. I clicked on something and I shouldn't have because it changed my settings. We'll worry about all that kind of stuff later on. That's not going to be something that can happen later on. Right now I did some global things to get it all set up and running. Okay, so we drop the ball. It hits this area. I'm going to move it off center just so that we have some frame of reference. Now when I hit the ball, and what did it tell me? No, it didn't like that hit golf ball thing. Okay. The direction before, let me look for, the direction before is Babylon, vector 3, 0, 0, negative 1. Okay, that makes perfect sense. And that was working when I did it that way. So something about the way I'm calculating this right now, that's aiming the ball. That changes the rotation, which we're fine with. And then here is where we're hitting the ball. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, S-E-E-N-E. It was a typo the whole time. I was thinking it was something part of this direction calculation that happened here. Okay, fine. Let's see what happens. No wonder it was like I couldn't figure out S-C-S-N-S-I. Okay, fine. You guys got to watch me on those typos. Help me out here. Gosh. Typo, you know, the typo, you can lose a few minutes to that one. Okay, I'm going to move this and I'm going to aim at the corner here, and when I hit the ball, what did it do? Get linear velocity was wrong. It didn't like that. Oh, it clicked on this to reset that again. Let me fix that. When we start the scene, one of the things that happen, if that's null, it creates it. That's all fine. But see, it shouldn't create it again. It's already been done. Oh, the GUI panel goes null when I hit the ball. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, never mind. I'll get to that one. We're almost there. We're almost there. I can feel it. Just for now, I have to make sure I'm not clicking this through the hit button. So what was happening is I would click hit, but my arrow was also clicking a pass through, and it was hitting this. So I need to make sure that when this is hit, it won't do that. But for now, all I have to do is hit a little higher so that it doesn't become an issue. Then it tried to do something. Pick mold's name. T ground. Ah, I did it again. Okay, let me. When I hit the golf ball, where am I using mold name? It shouldn't be using it anywhere. Okay. What else is happening besides hit golf ball when I hit the golf ball? I'm disposing of the line. And I am working the physics imposters, which are fine. Okay, I don't see any. I do not see any problems per se. Okay, let's do it again. I got to track down where that's happening. It's telling me, I just got to pay a little bit more attention to it. We'll have it here in a second. when I click here and I aim it to wherever, I'm going to make sure I'm not anywhere near that ground part. When I click this, okay, notice it could be negative direction, but it angled the right direction to the wrong corner. So the distance I was off to the right that I aimed, it went to the left. One of these two numbers that I'm using to determine the direction here is a negative number. So if we go negative in the X direction, let's find out. We should go the direction that we aimed it. We're almost there. We're almost there. Okay. First thing, we click the mat, it drops the ball. Then I say, let's go this direction just to do it. You can set whatever hardness you want to hit it. And when I click hit, I'm just being careful not to hit the ground down here. If I click hit, it went 90 degrees the opposite direction. Negative is in the wrong number. It is the Z direction. There we go. And let's try that again. I think we're getting really close here because it's actually very, very close to the direction I want it to go, which is a good sign. So let's see. 12th time's the charm. Call it what you will. Okay, I'm going to click here, and the ball drops. I aim it to where I want to go, and I click hit. And the ball goes the direction I wanted it to. Yay! And the crowd goes wild. Okay, so then the ball goes to there. So if I click on the ball, I change the direction to this direction across the hole. And I hit it about, oh, so hard. And I hit, and it went the direction I said. Notice it didn't go to the hole because our perspective of what we're looking at it was not on the ground. We were above the ground. If I was to walk over here and stand like, from this position, and now I say, okay, let's aim this ball. Well, first of all, that's actually showing me the correct position to the flag. 0, 0, 0. Oh, 0, 0, 0 off just a touch. Let's find out. If I go from here in my perspective right across the center of the hole, these are logistic issues. I'm not worried about these so much. Oh, I can't hit the hit button without pushing the other button now. I have to block that. See? Now it went that way, straight to the left. Okay. Oh, it went off center from the direction, but it did not account for the new position of the ball. I think we're still... We got to check the point of reference at the ball at the time that it's doing it. Okay. So what's happened is the point of reference that it's hitting from has changed. So we need to check the ball position each time to make sure when we click on the ball, we need to make sure that it's being created. See, notice it goes that direction. It thinks by default that's where the item is. See, watch, if I come back, yeah, see, I need to be able to go all directions here, just in case you want to angle it off the other side. I only went 75 degrees. I need to go 180 in both directions or whatever it needs to do. Yeah. Because then if I hit the ball, notice it's going straight off the side. Okay, let's check the coordinates. Let's check the direction that it's going from any one of the coordinates. It's possible that the ball's rotation is affecting it because we are parented to the ball. Yeah, that could affect it. Or when the ball comes to a rest, is there a way to tell if the ball comes to a rest, have it re-aim? Or we make that... See, by parenting it was kind of a cheating way of getting it there, but the problem is the rotation of it is now dependent on the ball's rotation, and that's what's throwing us off. So the best way to fix that is to not parent it on the ball, but that just means we need to reset the rotation after it happens. So we can't parent the aim line. Once we parent the aim line, the problem is it moves. The problem is it moves. So we're going to always end up with an issue with the rotation of the ball if it's parented. Let's see. We need it when it comes to rest. Well, I could animate it. I mean, there's a way to animate it. If I... Now, if I animate it, it's going to automatically be changing as I do things. Okay, well, that's less of an issue right now than making sure we can aim the right direction. So let's unparent it, and let's see how far off we are. Well, there's another way of doing it. If I don't create it when we create the golf ball, there's a better way of doing this. If I don't create it when we create the golf ball, but I create it if you're aiming and it doesn't exist yet. Oh wait, undo that. So the golf ball is there. We take the position of the golf ball, we create those points, and we aim it. Let's not make it part of this part. I think I found a solution. If we make it part of the aiming, which is actually right here, we take the aim line if it's not null, and we create it if it is null. Our golf ball equals, we name the golf ball here. Got to get the right name of the golf ball, otherwise all things fall apart. Everything's centered on the golf ball. Well, I guess in the world of golf, that's a true statement. There we go. We get the golf ball. We get the position of the golf ball. We add the points, and we create our aim line. And then we do the rotation based on those points that we find about the aim line. Okay. Let's put that in there and remark that line out. Now what I'm doing is, excuse me. Now what it's doing is basically, if the aim line already exists, it just uses it and rotates it. If it doesn't exist, then we create the aim line, which I don't need to put var in front of that. We already have the variable. And once we have that aim line built, based on these new points that we just created, then we do a new point based on the aim line, and we rotate it accordingly. Now the aim line only exists while you're actually moving it around and aiming it, but that's going to be after the ball exists. I think we just defeated the problem by the timing of it. I missed a parenthesis someplace. Let's see. This is with that. This one is... oh, that one's an extra. Okay. That's what we're looking at. Let's see what happens. Okay, we have a person in the scene. I'm going to drop the ball. It's in the scene. No aim line yet, but when I say direction, I didn't do it. What did I miss? Cannot read rotation of null. Cannot read rotation of null. We are creating the line if it doesn't exist. Why would it be null? If it's null, oh, if it equals null, sorry, that would do it. Didn't catch that. I changed the logic of a line that was already there instead of writing a new one. So, okay, so now it should automatically create the line if it doesn't exist. Let's see how it does. Let our avatar load, and here we go. Click, we get the ball. It drops it. Now, when I move this, whoa, we're centered on the wrong end. We're aiming around the cup instead of around the ball. Something went, oh, because we didn't parent it. The position started at the ball. Oh, but that's not the rotation center. It's gonna rotate around 0, 0, 0 because that's the position of it. That's why we had the parent where we did. Now we have to... well, there's another way around that. Nobody says we can't draw a line quick. If aim line is not null, then delete it. Aim line equals, or sorry, aim line dispose. If we can't rotate the line in the right place, then we can always do that. The other option would be move the position of the line to there and then rotate it. Yeah. You know what, before I do this type of logic, where I'm just redrawing the line every second, let me see if we move the line. I'm just going to try this. Aim line dot position x, position dot x equals this position. Because by moving it, the rotation should be on its new position, or is the whole line going to move a whole lot of distance out of the way? We're going to know here in a second. Well, we could always create an invisible box, rotate it on the invisible box. Don't let the box rotate with the other stuff. It's one way to do it. I know there's more than one way to do everything, and doesn't mean it's the best way. But we'll find out if we can do something like that, which would be, I just want to see where the line actually moves when I move the line. Hey, it did it. Okay, by moving the position of the line, we have control of it again. Let's see if I aim at this direction and click hit. It goes the direction I said. Now, after we've moved it, the real question is, do we have control to aim it again? So I take that, I click the ball, I click this, I move it to that direction, and I soften the hit because we don't need to go that far. Click hit, it went the direction I aimed. I think we have it. So let me walk over there. We're going to walk over here just so we get kind of a view where we can work with it. I'll go a little bit this direction. Oh, guy moved. I must have clicked something when I did that. Okay, if I click the ball, and then I say the direction I want to hit it is that way. Hit it about that hard. Hit the ball. Nope, it didn't go the direction I thought. Was it the perspective, or was it an issue with the direction it hit? Well, let's find out. If I take this and we go that direction, it went 90 degrees out of phase. Where is this flag? It's at 002. So it is 000 that we're going to. That part hasn't changed. Thanks. Yeah, well, what we're doing is I'm actually building this whole program that I wrote is an interface to work with Babylon gaming engine, but it kind of lets you create all kinds of stuff. And we're actually making a plugin right now, just like you have WordPress plugins that add functionality to traditional websites. What I did was I created it where you can make plugins that actually add game components to game scenes. That way we can drag and drop and add different things, and different programmers can create different plugins. Kind of makes one big gaming environment that we interconnect that already has avatars and multiplayer functionality and all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah, so we're definitely doing this. We're building it. I'm doing it right in front of you. It is open source. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, it's open source, so you can actually go to GitHub and you can download it, called WalkTheWeb. Link is down below. But at the same time, we're building all kinds of cool stuff. I'm just showing how we can implement the gaming engine. We can play around with the different physics on the different items. You can code directly with Babylon commands, so it opens up all the doors of the coding side. In this case, what I'm doing is I'm working with changing some of the Babylon functionality. I'm working on aiming the ball and being able to hit it. So we're putting in the game functionality to actually play the game of golf now. We basically, when we click the ball, we're giving it some type of aiming functionality, and then we can say how hard we want to hit the ball, and when we click hit, it goes. But of course our aiming right now is off, and that's the part I'm working on. So we're getting there. But just so you know, also, if you're a coder, or if you want to ever play around with the system and stuff, if you follow us, basically anybody that follows me in the early stages while I'm developing this, if you ever need anything, you're my best friend. I will take care of you if you need anything. If you have something where, hey, if I'm trying to write this and I need this in the main gaming engine, or I need this in the main, functionality for it to work, I give you higher priority than anybody else. So make sure you followed me if you would. And but like I said, we're creating it. I'm on here most days, and we're working on making this stuff work. Right now we're getting closer, because as of yesterday we couldn't hit the ball yet, so so we're getting closer all the time. We're throwing in animations. The avatars have some animations. We're going to animate the golf club by the time we're done. Just so you know, the actual hole layout, the flag, and the golf club were all created in Blender. And I go back and forth and do some Blender stuff too. And then I'll jump in and and basically we're going to keep on building it. I appreciate you following, man. You're my new hero for the day. But 3D stuff, oh, that's very cool. Yeah. Well, you can create things and then you can import them into Babylon and use them in the game scenes. Blender tends to be a pretty cool, tool for creating things. But even if you use other programs, it's very easy to import. Use Blender as kind of a pass-through so that you can import it with your animations and then export it in a way that Babylon can use it. But it's all cool. Definitely there's ways of doing things and getting it all to work. So far what I've done is when I click the mat of where he's going to play, then it starts a thing and drops a ball for you to play. Then next, you can aim the ball. And right now, let's see, I'm just going to kind of put it towards it. Actually, I want to be close, but I don't want to be right on. I just want to make sure it's actually going the direction I want to go. I can change the intensity of how hard you hit the ball. And when you click hit, looks like we're going in the right direction. And okay, so we have some control. Yesterday we didn't have that much control, but I still think my calculations are off for how it finds out what direction it needs to hit. And that was evident because when we go to do the second shot and I click the ball again, I click on aim, notice first of all, it thinks the direction of the flag 000 is still that direction from it. So for some reason it did not update either where the position of the current ball is or whatever it's, the direction it's going to go or something. And if I hit it, notice that it's going to go even the complete opposite of what the direction we told it to go. So there's some things still backwards in the calculations of where the ball currently is and what direction we need to go. So right now, the only time it's actually working is if I go straight this direction. It probably, no, because the ball rotated, the ball's off centered. I don't know what it's doing. We're going to have to figure that out, and that's the part that I'm currently working on. Babylon is actually really easy, and that's the reason I wanted to use it as a gaming engine behind what we're doing, because you really don't need to be a programmer to do Babylon. Well, let me reword that. I don't want to insult anybody out there. They give you easy ways to get started. If you have to become a programmer or you have to be a programmer to really get far in it, and there's a lot of gaps in, well, they'll tell you this, but then if you want to make this work with this other thing, you got to really, start working on those different pieces to get in between the two. But one of the things is if you scroll down on Babylon's page and go to tutorials, there are a lot of very cool tutorials, and that's how I learned it. I would say 3 years ago, I hadn't even tried Babylon yet. Well, maybe a little longer than that. Yeah, I started probably about 4 years ago, 4 years ago. Hadn't even done it, went through the tutorials, did a bunch of stuff. I've been around while they created new stuff for it and while they improved it, and I constantly dump the latest into our code so that we're using it. But basically, you can go through the steps and it'll teach you every single point. Well, if you haven't done anything with any gaming, then there's a learning curve, obviously. But they've done a good job of making these, if you start off with the Babylon 101, which is just these courses here, it'll teach you step by step. As you're learning this, though, you can actually go to, there's other ways you can go like how to, and you can look up specific things. Now, the one thing that's really cool, and I'm going to tell you this for learning how to do stuff, you know what? You two that are here now and stuff, and anybody else that wants to join us, if you want to learn this stuff, I'll walk you through a bunch of stuff and we'll actually learn it together. And we can work on, like I'm doing this golf game, we can work on some stuff and we can each learn how to create it. You guys want to join in though, you can definitely do it. Oh, good. So you've done C++ and Java. Awesome. Okay. Well, you know something? Here's the cool part about it. Babylon actually uses WebGL, so we have it from the core WebGL. So we've inherited that, and then Babylon does its stuff on top of that. We can actually interface with it at any level up to it. I'm basically exposing all the stuff to you so you can use it. If you choose to use Babylon directly, then it's all JavaScript. That's the way they just made it easier. And they gave you a bunch of the stuff that lets you go back and do things and manipulate, working with your meshes, working with your materials on your meshes. There's some things I've done with it. You're going to be able to see There's quite a bit of stuff on how to do it. But we can walk through a number of things. We can walk through... yeah, I know. This made it a lot easier because they handled all the WebGL stuff. In fact, the guy who wrote Babylon works for Microsoft. So explains a lot of the orientation of where it came from. But the good news is they've exposed everything so that we can actually interface with it on any level. The other thing is, whenever I want to do something, if you start with Stack Overflow and you go like through Babylon and you ask for a certain thing or something, you're going to see that Stack Overflow has a, yeah. But basically, like getting them to work. Shaders. You know something? Your opinion about the shaders is exactly where I stand on them so far. I have not figured them out. I have not gotten to the point where I can do stuff with that. I can recommend somebody though. Basically, if you watch or start following, I'm going to find him. T. Soding. If you follow T. Soding for shaders, he's the pro. But yeah, so definitely. Okay, so but he works with Microsoft. Okay, but you like writing things from scratch. You can do that in here. You can do all kinds of cool stuff. We can also do things at the Babylon level, but you can grab past it and grab things directly and interface with things. They even show you different tutorials and lessons. There's people that have gone in and showed you how to create meshes from scratch, so you can design your own meshes. You can do a lot of stuff and import it into Babylon and use it from there. So it's kind of like opening the doors instead of closing the doors. Yeah, I do. His stream, he's really cool. He knows his stuff. There's no doubt about that. Well, you know something, he's also cool. He raided me a couple weeks ago, and it was awesome. That
sounds strange.
What's that?
Explain that.
Oh, okay. But he raided our chat, so while we were in here, a bunch of guys jumped in here and basically came in, helped me get to affiliate level, and but like I said, he really knows his stuff. Yeah, he definitely knows what he's doing. Okay, so, but through the Babylon stuff, there's a lot of really cool stuff in here, and it'll take it by subject if you choose to do how-tos. There are examples where you can just see, hey, I want, look at this example. How did they do that? There's all kinds of cool stuff. They're open source, so are we, so you can see how they did things and then how I created things using their tools. But basically, with WalkTheWeb, what I did was I made it kind of resemble a CMS like you would with WordPress. You can build 3 different levels of things. Yeah. Okay, so basically, what I do is, here's like, for example, media. You can bring in different images. You can bring in different files. You can also bring in objects that are Babylon objects. These can be exported from Blender. So basically, you can create anything you want. They can include animation. For example, the flag that we have in the scene. I told it to give it an onload event, and then I told it name of a JavaScript function I wanted to call it, what object I wanted to use the animation of, and the frames it uses, told it to loop the animation, all kinds of cool stuff. Yes, you can. You definitely can. Babylon gives you the basis of it, and you can either use their stuff or, like, for example, the controls, you can actually turn them off or on. So there's different stuff we can do with that. Yeah, there's a lot of different lot of different levels for creating stuff. We basically jump right in. We can do things at all different levels. They give you ways around whatever they do. So even if they say, hey, we've set up all the controls, you can override them, which I've done in most cases, or a lot of cases. Oh, here's another little thing. In the settings, just so you know, I have different camera views of way the person is with your avatar, but then I also have already set up poor man's 3D with the 3D glasses, red and green, cyan, or the cyan. You can also look at it through VR glasses. You can also do VR glasses with the gamepad. It enables the controls. The other thing is there are about 8 more that Babylon's already had. That's all default Babylon stuff. I just enabled the different camera views. So what I did was I used Babylon as a backend, and then I made it easy for people to switch between different things. All kinds of cool extra functionality. I've created, I just tried to make it easy. I tried to create an interface that makes it easy to build things. If you look, I have communities, buildings, and things. Those are kind of the packaging of how we put things into scenes. The communities are your scenes. So we create the communities with the ground layout, the terrain, and all these other pieces. Then we create buildings, which don't have to be a physical building. It's just an area that you're going to drop into a scene. And you can orientate them and rotate them and do all kinds of cool stuff whenever you want to do that. So there's the buildings, like I said, they don't have to be a building. It could be like, for example, this hole that we're working on for the golf game is an actual building. That way I can drop it into a scene and place it any orientation or wherever I want it to be in the scene. Then I can create another hole, add it to the scene again. What happens is it loads things as you walk up on them and unloads them when you walk away, so it's very dynamic. The 3D things, what those are is those are your avatars, your vehicles, your any assembly that you make that you want to put into a building or into a community. So it makes it real easy to create, let's say, a chair and then drop it 4 times around a table. You only had to build it once, but each one has their own instance and orientation. So I've done all the coding that handles all those various pieces. So like when you're walking up on something, for example, if I take my avatar right now and I walk far enough away, what happens is it disappears. If I walk towards it, it loads up. This is all part of my code telling it when to load and when to unload. If I go down here and turn on zones, what you're going to see is there are different invisible boxes, and there's some that are larger than the one we're in right now. And as you walk into these boxes, I detect that your avatar's in it, then I tell it what to load. Well, the thing is, it can actually go out on the internet, find it on some other server, bring it back, and then load it, which makes it work from different servers. So this person can host a building, let's say a 3D shopping store, so some people can go shopping. Yet you can put it in your scene just by going, okay, I want this building right here, and boom, drop it in your scene. Now it's available in your scene. So you can create a game with, hey, a t-shirt shop, next to one of the holes on the course. You can create different buildings. You can sell the advertising space. You build a game and it starts becoming real popular. People are going to want their stores in your scene. Well, you can drag and drop them and put them in there and sell virtual real estate. You can also create plugins that are freemium. So you can have something that, hey, give them some for free. Let's say just by getting it, you can actually drive a Jeep for free. But if you want a passenger to get in the passenger seat, or you want to drive the Ferrari, you have to unlock that. So you pay a fee or a subscription if you want, and it unlocks those extra features. So basically I'm making it where everybody can use one community, kind of like a standard of how we build things or what we build them in, yet you can bring them in and drop them into the different places. So that way it becomes kind of a universal place to build them and a hosting model. And that's why I dropped it out there open source, by the way, is because anybody can host their own sites. And then what happens is you can actually grab things and drop them in. Well, the thing is, with freemium, there's always some things that are free and then some things you have to pay for. It's a way the developer can make some money. But at the same time, hey, you can drive Jeeps around for free, for example. It just depends on who built it and where they decide to draw that line. There may be some that people just put out there and say, I just want to make my name to be known, and they drop out free stuff so people can use it. That's the way, it's up to the developer who created it. But we can turn off and on those zones so we don't have to look at them. The other item is this. When I right-click on an item that I've put in the scene, I can edit it, and I can even tell it in advanced options, normal, load when you're near. I can say load high when you're far away, or when you're in the extreme zone and even farther than that. So there's different ways to tell it when you want to load it. And each one of these zones are shown like here. Notice how there's kind of 3 boxes, 2, 3. One is the extreme, one is the far, and one is the near. You can also create custom ones. So like if you walk in this room, things appear only when you walk in that room. Or you're walking down a hallway, just before you get to the hallway, it loads everything that's in the hallway. That way we can balance out and decide what gets loaded at any one time, but we don't have to show you any more than what you actually need to work in scenes. Now, I don't know if you ever read the book Snow Crash, but there's a book called Snow Crash by Neil Stevenson. And in that book, one of the things they did was they created a hangout for everybody. And I've already started building that hangout. We're going to call it Walk the Web Club. And it'll be a place where everybody can go and they can actually create different things. Let me turn off the zones. We don't need them. And notice it's a dome-shaped building. Okay, where's my sky? There it goes. And when we walk around in here, for example, if I walk inside, now it loads the dynamics of all the things inside it. That way, when you're on the outside, it didn't have to load any more than it needed. And then we can even have things that only show up when you walk near them in sections of this place. But it's pretty cool stuff. It's really cool. But this is kind of like the club hangout. We're going to be able to drop that into a scene when I'm done. We're going to work on, keep on working on the bowling or work on the different items, like the mini golf is the one I'm currently working on. There's all kinds of cool stuff. So basically it's a matter of using Babylon things. We can create them, we can write scripts that use them and then drop them in, create an object with it. We can do, we can also, I'm going to set it up where you can actually just say, hey, add this Babylon script and it becomes part of a 3D thing, for example. So I haven't set that up yet, but like here, if I do buildings, one of the things you can do is you can edit the building. And for example, you can say add a building block and all you have to do is say add sphere and there's a sphere. And right now I have gravity on spheres, so pardon that. But you can change the color of items just by dragging and moving it around on the scene. You can also add textures just by clicking on it here. Set the texture. I know right now and you can combine colors and textures. I have gravity turned on for the golf ball thing I'm doing right now, so I haven't turned it off for that piece. But yep, open source. You can also rotate and you can change the size and shape of things. Let's see. And it'll automatically change. Well, now we know that isn't going to roll away because it's going to it's going to have a little trouble rolling away when it's not round. But you can change that stuff. You can add bump textures to it. You can add there's all kinds of fine-tuning, like if you want to move the textures on the surfaces of items. I've done all kinds of code for that. There's a lot of really cool features for working with the items. You can also change the number of subdivisions so it actually gives it more detail. I know it bounced on the edge of this now with the physics. That's why I wasn't going to use that. That's kind of funny. Delete the sphere. But you can add all kinds of building blocks. Like here, I'll add a box. Box doesn't... I was doing the golf ball, and I didn't write the code for the golf ball yet, so I'm just using one of the default spheres. Well, I wrote the physics into the sphere, so that explains why in my dev environment it's doing that right now. But it's as easy as just holding down the buttons. You can work with them. You can rotate things. You can do whatever you want. You can change the textures. You can tell it when to load, if it's near, far, whatever. You can also change the textures on the surfaces. You can also, I've done things like the opacity, so if you want to be able to see through it, there we go. You can adjust the opacity of items. You can add sounds to items. Yeah, it's, that's very cool. That's very cool. But yeah, and if you need anything, if you're building something and you say, okay, my project needs this to work in there, then definitely let me know and I'll help you. We'll make sure that, WalkTheWeb has everything you need in it. So there's Blender, or Babylon in the background. We use WalkTheWeb, and we can also bring in things from Blender and everything else from that side of things. So, okay, but we can also merge shapes, which is another way of taking one shape and making it, let's say, subtract from another shape. So we can actually do cutouts and all kinds of cool stuff. You can combine two objects. You can also do the intersect of two objects or multiple objects. You can click one button and create a duplicate. So there's all kinds of cool stuff you can do. Anytime you build something, if you right click it, you can re-edit it again. You can delete things as easy as clicking delete, and it's gone. So I keep on working on the interface to make it friendly for everybody to create things. The other thing is there's web objects, which are the basic objects I put in building blocks. Web objects are a lot more detailed things. Like, for example, I can add a light bulb. This is kind of cool. And wherever I move this light bulb around to, notice the flag isn't lit up very well. I'm going to move the light bulb where it's in front of where the flag is. Oops, I'm going the wrong direction. That helps. Let's go this direction over here, and let's go this direction over here. And as I move my reference and light bulb, it should give me some more light. I know I gotta save it. There it is. Now it's actually seeing the light bulb on the flag whenever it goes in certain directions as the animation moves. So there's even light bulbs that I've created that can tell it create a light source from a certain direction. When you're in edit mode, you see the box so you can grab it, but when you're not, you can actually get rid of them. I've added some objects. For example, by the way, you can also leave from your avatar just by clicking that button. Now I can go build things wherever I want them without having the avatar in the way. There's things like, there's smoke, there's particle showers. For example, smoke. You can just create this, set the box wherever you want it to be. Definitely I want to. Let's create it. I'll join you. We can both work on it together. Works for me. Where are you from? Just curious. So we can add different items, and now, for example, we can make the hole smoke. Save smoke. Now there's smoke coming out of the hole. Ontario, Canada. Very cool. Very cool. I grew up in just outside of Detroit, so you're just across the Windsor Bridge from where I was, or the Windsor Tunnel, either way. But yeah, I used to spend a lot of time up in that area. Yeah, I can help with hosting servers. If we need to create some test sites or whatever we need to do, we can definitely do that. And Eva, I know you're into, and we want to do something for you that has dragons in it. I got your number. Very cool. Okay, so as you can see, we can create all kinds of cool things. We can work with the smoke. You can also change the dimensions of the smoke just by changing the shape of it, the size. So if we wanted it to be like very narrow, we can actually, and you can also type the numbers. So if I say 0.5, for example, on the X and Z, we can tell it to create smoke in a narrow chimney. Notice it's a lot tighter now. We can also spread it out, so like twice as high. There's all kinds of things we can do, and notice that it'll do whatever we tell it to do. You can also rotate it and aim the smoke in different directions. For example, if I tell the smoke to go out this direction, notice it's very directional. Every one of these objects, no matter what they are, we can create anything we want and drop it into scenes. So I constantly create different items. Just to show you, this is how easy it is. In my program, one of the things I have is basic molds. And I can tell it, when I create a sphere, here's how I want to do it. Or let's just start with a box. I tell it, here's what I want to do. I'm going to use this command. It's going to create, in my case, a mold. In my code, you're going to see the word mold. It technically is a mesh, but it's also all the definitions. I created it with a different name on purpose because it's more than just the mesh. The mesh is when it's physically visible in the scene. I'm tracking when to show it also. So you load the mold, but it doesn't mean you're showing the mold yet. And then I control based on where you're walking if you're going to see the mold or not, which then creates the mesh on the fly to actually show you the mold, or the mold mesh, yeah. Okay, and in this case, Babylon create box, it tells it how to create it, and then I use some dimensions of whatever I used in my thing. Well, I've been working full-time for about 2.5 years on this project. I thought of it about 8-9 years ago, and worked on it part-time while working I was a webmaster of the county of San Bernardino, so I have a lot of background in web technology, and so started working on this and making it all work, doing different things so I could get it all into place. We have some things like multiplayer. So when anybody loads up the same scene and everybody's standing in the same scene, you'll actually see the other people in the scene. Now, I actually used web-based stuff and tracked it that way so that it constantly updates your position and you see each other walking around in the scene and stuff. We'll probably switch to some more sophisticated methods later on, but for now I wanted it where anybody could host it without doing anything special on their own server. So that's why it's built this way. And then I'm going to set up something. Oh, very cool. Social network interface. That's very cool. You are thinking down the lines that I do too, because I've done things like if you click on the other person, it actually pops up a chat and works on it. So, hey, I tell you what, if you want to, I'm just going to put this out there, and this goes for anybody. If you have a certain area that you want to focus on, if you want to build the social network that works with everybody that has WalkTheWeb, then, undefined, how funny, that is so cool. But if you want to build a social network for this and make it where it works between the avatars and how you communicate and everything else, we can set it up as a plugin, and hey, you could be the next Facebook of WalkTheWeb, you know? I can tell you're a JavaScript dev just by the things you mentioned that you're doing and the direction you want to go. I can totally tell. That is so cool. One of the things is I tried to make it easy. So anything we can do to make the movement and make the using of it for our end users, that was the goal from the very beginning. I also have a test site that you can look around, play around with and stuff. It's 3d.walktheweb.com. And I've created a number of different things in here. It isn't using the latest of my code, though. I haven't updated it to there yet. By the way, I give you some type of mechanical-looking guys if you're anonymous. And if you log in, then basically, then you get to use your predetermined login characters and stuff. So basically, that's just the way I've been doing it. And you get to use whoever you selected from 10 different avatars right now. We'll add some more avatar packages. It's just a growing environment. As I go, I keep on adding things. Well, we'll work on that. This site here, like I said, it's an older version of what I'm working with, so I haven't got it to where I'm updating this site just yet. I have a couple more functions that I have to add because there's people using this site for 3D stores, and I have just a little bit more work to do on my 3D stores before I can implement the new code on that site. So we're almost there. Cool. Okay, so yeah. I can tell by the way you were talking. JavaScript has been my best friend ever since I started working on this project. I've always done a lot with it, with websites and stuff, and now I've been doing a lot more with this kind of stuff. But the whole idea is I'm creating different games. I'm creating 3D shopping. I'm working on the interface to make sure that others can create plugins. And by the way, plugins are real easy right now. For example, if I click all plugins, it shows which ones I've activated and are working in my scenes. These are ones I'm developing right now as we're going. I'm trying to design them with the feel of what you do in WordPress so that we can easily do them for different stuff, so that you can activate them or deactivate them real easy. And then it turns on that functionality you use within your code. Later on, we may make it where, hey, this one only turns on if you're viewing this one site or whatever. We'll decide what's needed when and make sure we're not loading too much. But this is by server level at this point. We're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. That's how I'm building it. I put out quite a few videos on my YouTube channel, which you can get down below also. I keep on creating things I'm working on here daily. So you get the gist. You get the thing. I've done some naming conventions on objects if you add them and if they're part of a building, a thing, or a community. Oh, here's something cool too. When you're working on stuff in my scenes, I've also added some development tools, and you can list the loaded objects. So if you want to see, for example, all the meshes that I've currently loaded, you just click on that and it'll show you all the different meshes that you're currently loaded. Right now I have some highlighting in different colors, but I can extend that out so that if you want to make it look for certain things, you can have them highlight certain functions or whatever pieces you're looking for. But notice I have, for example, my avatar, and it has a naming scheme. I have building molds, which are part of the building. I have, it can be thing molds, can be community molds. It can be the action zones that it's loading. The connecting grids. The connecting grids, this is kind of cool. Let me give you a quick lesson, just so you kind of get the dynamic of how these things come together. Everything has what we call a connecting grid. And that is the relationship between, like, let's say, building a scene. I create one by one cube, and I call it the connecting grid. Then everything that the scene parents to that connecting grid. I do the same for a building, and I do the same for anything that you create. Then when I want to put a building into that scene, all I do is define in this connecting grid, area of this community, what's the relationship to the building connecting grid, and I store those. And you can even see them in the tables under connecting grids. This is, okay, wait a minute. Let me refresh my connection. Okay, so in connecting grids, what it does is we have the parent ID, and I tell it if it's a community building or thing, and then what you set inside, for example, this thing. And then it has position, scaling, and rotation of that object. Then I tell it what action zone. Nice. Definitely. Oh, no worries, no worries. But what this is actually doing is, this is the relationship between the different objects, which means once I've created something like this building here and stuff, or let me show you in, if I go into a community, I'm just going to bring up a default sample community. Here's something that I've put together. You too, Eva. Babylon 101, great place to start. Okay, so when I pick up these things, notice this is a chair. If I right-click it, what happens is this is showing me the connecting grid. If I scale it, for example, notice the scale of it is telling it to be twice the size. So I built the chair once. It's in its particular size, but I can scale it to work in my scene. And it's that easy to do. I can also do the same thing with buildings. And I can also rotate it, and it's its own object. What I'm doing is I'm rotating the cube that it's parented to, or scaling the cube, and positioning the cube. And basically by doing that, it's positioning it, scaling it, and rotating it in this scene. That's the relationship of how I'm working with different pieces. Same thing comes with buildings. I can right-click on this building, edit this building, and now I can scale it. Let's say I want it to be a model of itself. I can do it 0.1 in the distance. Now it's 1/10 scale building in the middle of my scene. And just so you know, it is fully functional. I know, I'm over here. I'm walking without my avatar. Let me click on my avatar. And that means that it also scaled the action zones that work with it. So what happens is, as I walk closer here, there it is. See, now the building loads. Notice there's no stairs inside it or anything. And as I get closer, it tells it to load the glass on the front of the building. And finally, there's all my stairs and everything inside the building. That was like a shrunk down version, Yeah, that'd be good. But definitely, you guys want to learn how to build stuff, I'll work with you, definitely. Babylon 101 is the place to start because I'm going to, since they have that whole tutorial up there and stuff, it would be a good idea to become familiar with that first. Then I'll work with you and we'll keep on building things from there. I can help you and make suggestions along the way and all kinds of cool stuff. Now notice there's even action zones. I'm going to try to do this where the door opens, but of course it's got to be when I'm pretty close. There it is. Notice the door on the building even opened. It is a fully functioning model based on distance that you are. And notice if I turn on the action zones, you can see the various action zones that it uses that you're walking into. Let me even turn these zones on here. And see, notice there's even one around the door. That's the one that opens that door. So that's pretty cool stuff, huh? I'm going to say cancel on that because I want my building to be back to its original size. Oh, notice I even added a fan in here and it's animated using Blender. We got some cool stuff and I'll show you how to do that too. Cool. Okay, whoops, I just ran through the door, which, okay, I'm stuck in the door now. There's some things, when I have a moving object, such as the door, if the object moves through it, I didn't tell it to move with collisions, so if it runs into the person, it actually goes through them right now. I just don't have the collisions turned on for it, but as you can see, we can do that. It's just another part of the game. Okay. Here was another thing I was working on. When you click on the seat, I tell the guy to walk over towards it. I'm passing up. What's going on? I don't have that in place yet. Okay. Yeah, now I've screwed up my whole thing. Okay. I'm working on a couple things in my dev environment. That's not what you guys have available to you yet. So WalkTheWeb's a game. It's an interface for creating games. It's basically a content management system for creating games. It lets you put all these pieces together so you can build one game component and drop it into an existing game or even create a game out of it. It allows you to do both sides of that. So you're creating things and building the different pieces. And it has a game engine underneath it. So we're using Babylon and I'm creating things in my program that use Babylon. And you can even write native code for Babylon and drop it into scenes. So that's how you do it. Yeah. It's definitely Babylon game engine runs behind this. In fact, if you look in the code, and if you look under engine directory, there's actually all these different functions. First of all, Babylon, we have a bunch of different shaders and different pieces, materials that they've created already for us. I have them all available so we can use them. And then I have things like Canon. We have different physics engines available to us. We have different extra functionality, mesh writers so that we can write lettering, do fonts inside of it. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel when somebody's already done the work. So we take advantage of different things from different pieces, and then we take them, drop them. I've enabled them through my interface, but you can also use them directly. So that just opens up the doors to everything that you want to do. And I've already, as you can see, I've created things using Babylon code and, build out things from there. So very cool. Okay, well, you know what? I've been going for a couple hours here. I'm going to take about a 5-minute break and stretch my legs a couple minutes and refill my cup, and I'll be back. So we'll see you in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm back, and here we are again. Okay, so let's see, where were we? Let's jump back in here. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Do. Bless you. Okay. Just see what we have here. I want to make sure that deleted. Don't want to keep on adding it if it's, here or not. Okay, that box. Oh, that was the other box I was creating and messing around with. Oh, that was a light bulb. Okay, delete the light bulb. Didn't delete it. Did it delete it and just not delete the box with it? We're going to find out. If not, I'm going to dump it in the database. I may have broken a couple things while I'm working on this code. And we're going to make sure I get these items out of here that I just dumped into my scene. Let's see. If I go to building molds, that's the one I'm working with, yeah. And I bring that up. Yeah, see. Light bulb is right there. The smoke is there. Let's get rid of those two bottom ones. Light bulb, smoke. Okay. We have those three objects. Let's see. Top one, skip one, then two more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's all there is. Apply. And I'm going to clear out some stuff here because there's no reason to keep all these other items in place. This through... I've just done a lot of updates on here. I'm going to make sure we get the ones I need here. Those two and that one. Oh. Fine. Selection wasn't going smooth. Let's see. There we go. Okay, take these, delete the rows, and apply. Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, so let's go with, what was it doing? Okay, so the scene's back to where we were, and we're going to, now we're going to double check some things. I want to find out, if I'm not using the world matrix for figuring out where the angles are and stuff, then what happens is it'll start tweaking everything. So, I think... Therefore I am. Ah, good. Okay. Crack myself up, right?
Trying to see how far off this is.
Okay. What I'm running into is... What's that?
Most of the time, it's okay.
Okay. We're getting the aiming line all correct. We get the angle that we want to go correct. But for some reason, when we translate that into hit, it's not going that particular direction. And I think that's got to be this code right down here. Hit the golf ball. Our direction is this. Wait a minute. We can...
Oh, Dizzy Dad followed you.
Yeah. I'm going to take the aim line, or actually this piece, and I'm going to make it part of when we adjust the line here. Rotation. Aim line rotation there, sign of that, Babylon, boom. That's setting the direction, and we don't have to reset the direction now because that will give us the direction that the line was created in the first place. Then here, this should be able to, we don't even need to pull it, we're just disposing of the line, that's fine. Okay, let's find out what happens. I just want to see if we're getting the new direction, if that's all it took to get the direction right, because the direction is happening right on the line itself, so we should be able to do exactly that here. So if I come in here and I tell it I want to hit it this direction, I'm purposely going off center because a lot of centered things tend to look right and then end up not right. So I'm purposely hitting it off center so that we have to aim on an angle to get to the hole. So it stops, we click the button, and now I tell it to aim. We'll see that when I told it to aim, it already went in this direction. That is not correct. This direction would be more correct. And when I click hit, it's closer to the direction I just told it to go. Let's find out how close we are on that. If I click the ball again, if I tell it to go straight to the side, or as far as I can go, let's go that direction and hit it softly. Boom. Oh, not too bad. I don't think we're that far off now. We're actually going in that particular direction. Let's take this, aim it. It's in 3D, so I could be off a little bit just from the angle we're looking at it. And if I soften the hit to about there, hit the ball, and I'll see it went straight that way, which I would have noticed from this angle if it was going that direction. We're still off, but we're very close. Okay, we're getting closer. I'm not going to spend too much time on that right now because we do have other things we need to work on, but I think we're definitely heading in the right direction. Okay, so from here, next thing, well, I've got a couple issues with the next part. Let's get a couple more pieces in place here. When I open this up, or if I click the ball, I should have some type of thing. Well, let's see. Can I get, I want to make it go right to the edge of the cup, but land in, about like that. I could make it where it's more sensitive if you're close to the center and then a little less sensitive if you're farther away. Those are little details. We'll work on that later. Okay, and then, I didn't hit it hard enough to matter. Two things. One is, currently I only let you change the angle of direction 75 degrees. We're going to open that up because if, well, it depends on where you are. Oh, where did I drop it? Come on. Here it is, 75 degrees. You could be 180 degrees off to where you want to go. So I'm going to make this like 270 degrees in each direction. That way you can pass up halfway and still do okay. That's the value. I think that's going to be pretty good. We may work out a formula so that it's working a percentage of that if it's in the smaller areas. We'll give it some fine tuning in the center so that you can really adjust lightly opposed to hard. Let's see what that does with my aiming here. So I drop the ball and now I can aim. See, now we can go completely around 270 degrees from where we're aiming, which means my increments aren't as great. Yeah, see, that's what I was afraid of. we need to set that up so it goes a greater deal of increment. I believe the sliders, I was checking out the sliders and I believe there was a precision type thing we could do in here. Let me get to slider. Step. There we go. We could set the step. If we set the step, then we totally have, we can make it 1/10 of a degree or even 100th of a degree if we needed to. That way you can be off just a fraction and still have a lot going on. Aim slider step equals point. Let's see what a 1/10 looks like first, because 1/10 of a degree of an angle is pretty good. Okay, click this, it drops the ball, and when I do this now, can I get a little bit more degree sensitivity? See, I think it's because of the number of instances. Okay, what I want to do is I want to make that a little bit nicer. We're going to do an extrapolation based on what range they're in. If we're gonna modify these values a little bit based on what they do. If value is wait a minute, we could do a straight one first and see if that works. Value equals, let's make it because the value is by that precision. Value equals times 0.5. Let's see if that gives me more precision. If that works, we're basically increasing the number of spaces in between that so that it can give us more detail. And see, it's still too sensitive around the center. We can't move it that way. Let me think of how I want to do this. If absolute value, math.absolute value of value is less than 45, then and where I used, I think the only place I used value is there. Radians, we're going to call that angle. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it if it's less than 45 absolute value, then basically angle equals, actually I could say less than 90 and make it, control the first, okay. Angle equals value times, actually I could do it. 0.5 just to get, oh, that's the backwards way. Angle just went twice as large, times 5. Oh no, that's the opposite, sorry. 0.1. I want to do a tenth when I'm less than 45 degrees. Let's see what that does. And then I can do an else statement afterwards. We're just cleaning it up. And gonna drop the ball. And now when I aim, it's a lot less sensitive going that direction. And look how big it moves when I'm not in that side. Okay, we're on the right path. We're going to go value equals 0.1, 0.05. If is less than 25, else if is less than 45, I'm going to make the angle, oops, I got 2 periods in there. That was not liking that, I'm sure. Copy that. If it's less than that, make it 0.1, else if less than 90, make it 0.5, else, I'll do one more. Else if less than 180, angle equals, I could 0.75, and finally else equals value. Okay, that should catch it pretty darn good. Actually, that isn't going to work right. I know what I need to do. Value equals this, then I need 25 times 0.05. Okay, do my math, which would be, I need to add the last amount that it had. So if I take this plus value minus 25 times that for the next increment, otherwise it's going to make a jump. So the first one is going to be basically 25 times 0.05. I'll put the numbers in there in a minute. Then the third one is going to be, well, let me get the numbers. I don't want to do the numbers when they get worse. Bring up my calculator. I know. 1 point. So it's 1.25. And then this one is going to be, I can make that, well, 45 is fine. This is going to be this number plus, so it's going to be some number here. It'll be 20 times 0.1 plus 1.0. Oh, back up. 25, 3.25. Okay, and then this one is going to be 45 degrees times 0.5 plus the 3.25, 25.75. And finally, our last one is 180. Well, that's going to be 90 degrees at 0.75 plus 25.75 equals 93.25 plus that. Okay, now we should see some consistency between the movement. I know I didn't even test the other one. I already knew it was going to be wrong. And here we go, loading up. Okay, and if we drop that, drop the ball, and now when I aim, it's a little smooth in there, and then notice it falls off real quick. I may need to change those numbers. It is making it easier to do it to there, but that first one happening from there to there, there's something going on there. I don't have something right. Okay, we're going to do this another way. Var section 1 equals 25, and we're going to do 2, 3, 4 sections. Okay. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so, the reason was I didn't check the value of the next thing. I got included in this part. Okay, that's fine. We'll figure this out. 45, 90, 180. And of course that goes all the way to there. Let's see. Yeah, we'll leave that the way it is. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. So then here I'm going to take the value because it's less than 25, and we're going to multiply it times that, and it's going to give us our angle. Otherwise we have, if it's less than 45, then we're going to say, let's see, 1 times 0.05. Well, you know, since I'm doing this, I should do both pieces. Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot to do the value minus. That's why it jumps. Okay. So there's sections, and then there are value 1 equals 0.05. I want to play around with these numbers, so I'm making it something I can change the numbers fast. So we have 2, 3, 4, and I do need a fifth one on this because it's going to be the else statement. 5 is 1, 0.75, 0.5, 0.1, and that should get us where we were with those. Okay, here we go. If section equals that, then value 1 times value. Else, if value is less than 45, then it will be section 1.05. Okay, 0.05 is value 1. These two plus the value minus this times this, which is in that next increment of 20 degrees, and that is value 2. Okay, next we have, and 45 is section 2. Copy that. So then here, if that is less than 90, we're doing section 1 plus that, plus section 2 times, and this will be I'm getting that wrong already. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Let's see. Section 1 times value is the first part of that, please. Plus I'm adding the value minus that section, which is how many that are left at this value. Okay, that's fine. Then this would be times section 2. 2 minus section 1 takes off the first chunk of them, and that gets multiplied times, wait a minute, times section 2? No. Oops. Okay, fine. Section 2 minus section 1, basically times value 2 plus, then we have the final amount, which is, this is where we got in trouble this time. The value minus section 2 times 0.5 times this, which is the value 1. Yeah, we're getting there, we're getting there. 90 degrees was section 3. Okay. So then here, copy that. If this which are the two first sections, now we need section 3. Section 3, wait a minute, I'm missing a parentheses right there. Okay, which is going to be that one. Okay, so this one is section 3 minus section 2. And that is going to be times value 3 plus, this is going to be value minus section 3 times, and eventually we got the value 4. And here, I know, if I do this right, it's going to look pretty. Section 4 here, else we do all of this that we did before, goes to there, plus, I'm going to copy this one, which is the section 4 version, value 4, which means subtract off 3 from 4, and that's at that value. And then finally we have, this is value minus section 4 times value, or val 5. Okay, that was fun. But now we can adjust the sensitivity just by moving some numbers, and it should be consistent from the center. It should move out and like increase as we go, depending which section or how close you are to the flag that you're aiming. Okay. So from here, drop the ball, and we have sensitivity. We can move it really shallow in that area. Now it starts moving it slow. Whoa, see that jump? We still have something wrong in that area. Everything else seems consistent after that. What did I miss from the first degrees to the next? See, that's where I'm messing it up. Let's find out. So the first degree, okay, let's... we're going to find out where we are by this. It's going to actually tell us the values. Section 1. Angle equals... and then this one is section 2. Three, 4, and 5. Yeah, we'll figure out what we did wrong there. I'm blaming you. Did you catch that? We're going to find out what we're doing wrong. Okay, so I dropped the ball. I know, such a implication. I dropped the ball. No. I fumbled. No. We're almost there. We're almost there. Okay, so in this first section, I can go pretty small angles, and it seems all right. And then when I hit section 2, oh, it's only right there. Section 2 is correct. And then 3, okay, wait a minute. When it jumped to 4, I made a mistake. Because right here, this is still looking nice for that section. And then all of a sudden, it jumps. So there's something wrong with section 4. Okay, that tells me something already. Section 4, what did I do wrong? Section 3, 2 value 3, plus value this, and in section 3. Yeah, times value... Wait a minute. Value 1, value 2. That's why this one did not go value 3. There it is, line above it. Since it didn't expand it to the higher value, it never got to where section 4 starts. So now we should see a little difference in there. And it works. Okay, so now we have more sensitivity towards the center. Wait a minute. Why did jump going backwards? Oh, how funny. It works in the positive direction. Negative direction, it didn't. Oh, that's why. Jesus. Okay. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I added these sections before it moves. And that only works if you are, if the value is positive or negative. Okay, we can, I think I can fix this by saying var direction equals 1, and then if value is less than 0, Then direction equals -1. Then I can take this and multiply it times, that's the value times that. We're always going to be, see, value 1. Oh, that's why, because each of my values here, oh, there's an easy way to do it. Because the values are going to be negative numbers. I don't use the values to compare, which is where I needed it to be positive. That's by section. That's by degrees. Okay, so values. There's an easy way to do this. Take this direction, put it on top, and then just take the direction and multiply it times each one of these values. Now, it'll go the right direction. Let's see if that fixed it. I either fixed both sides or I made the one other side not work also. So either both are going to work or both are not going to work. Okay, here's the ball. And arms down means animation is on. Come on, finish loading. There it goes. And now we move slow. We can move it that way. And we're always positive. Well, that would not be the way to go, because I'm multiplying it times val for the sections. Oh, where else did I? Oh, because I did the val here times the value. That is where it messed it up. It needs to only be these places. Okay. I'm going to, well, let's just click undo. Take it off those, take it off there, put it here. Take this direction and multiply it times this one here. Okay. This one. Then in here we need it times here and here. Then in this one it's 1, 2, 3 sections. I know, I either put a space or don't put a space, right? Then here it's 4 sections, 2, 3, and 4. I know, consistency, I probably should put all the, oh, there's 2 pluses there. Don't even know where that came from either. Some of that stuff is gonna matter. Oh wait. Okay. That should give it the directions right on the additions of where it's already traveled, and then add the piece that we're doing. Since value can be negative, that one will multiply out the right distance. And let's see if that did it. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're about to play golf. No. Okay, so we take that and we drop that into place. Looks like I can go smooth towards the center, a little faster. Okay, it's jumping right there. We still have something wrong in that. Why is this way working and that way not? Did it not update? Sometimes it takes twice to update the code. So let's find out. None of those angles were showing up negative. I could calculate the angle, then last minute decide if it's positive or negative based on the direction. That might do it too. Let's do that. Okay, fine. Back all these direction things out of here. And just to do it, there's 2 plus signs there we had to get rid of, which would have whacked out that section anyway. And this is like this, just so that we're consistent. And then we're going to take last second and give it the direction. Since one side was working before when it was positive, I have a feeling this is probably the best method to do it. Oh, there was one other thing I need to do. Where did I miss a parentheses? I know I saw it and fixed it when I was working in here. Oh, well, first of all, left the times. That's probably all it was. And it's always positive. Okay, it's because it's canceling out. This one's coming through that way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here. After I've figured out the direction, I'm going to say value equals absolute value. Now they're all positive. Now I don't need to do, well, let's just do this way. Value there, there, there. And since I'm only working with positive numbers now, and then basically I just set the angle backwards the other direction at the end. This angle, if nothing happens, I'm going to go with the original thing that comes through here in case there's something weird where this doesn't catch it. It's not likely, but it gives us a starting point. And let's see, did I do it right this time? Drop the ball. It's in the scene. Here we go. And we can go this direction, which we always knew. And now it works that direction. There's my calculation that I was looking for. We're able to get negative and positive numbers, no problem. And it works. Okay, so now if I go there, we hit it hard enough. I'm purposely going a little off center. And I hit the ball. It rolls down there. We're getting farther and farther. And catch the edge of the cup. I rimmed the cup. Did that on purpose just to see what it would do. We're getting closer. Our game is coming together little by little. Little by little. So today we were able to accomplish two things. We now have where we can drop the ball into the scene, and we can now set the direction. So we have some type of piece in place for telling it where the direction is. We know we do the power level from the other day when we did it. And if I come down here to hit, boom, and go, 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 go. No. And there it is. Boom. Yay, hole in one. Okay, we've completed that section right there. Cool deal. Hole in one. Oh, hopeful. Helps if I can type too, right? Okay, so yeah, we were able to do that. We got the aiming going and we shot it right into the hole. So good stream, good function. We completed at least one complete thought. We now have direction when we aim it. And we've got some functionality. We can, here, I'm going to see if I can bounce it off a wall. We'll go even higher power. And when I click it off the wall, here we go, boom. And it's rolling, it's rolling, it's rolling. And fell short of the hole. No. And from there, I can click the ball. I can tell it what direction to go. And I'm going to go just a little bit that direction. I'm going to hit it a lot lighter and hit the button. And there we are. Yeah, hole in two. Okay, so we're getting there. We're getting there. We got to make our avatar follow all this stuff and everything else, and we'll keep on doing it. We'll get the different pieces in place. But for now, that was pretty good. We're able to aim and shoot. Okay, so on to the next stage next time. Make sure you tune in, and if you haven't followed me yet, make sure you click the follow button so that you can catch me next time. And we'll keep on building this game, and then we're going to build some different holes that you can play. We're getting all the animation in place. We're doing all kinds of functionality here. So thank you for joining me, and have a great day. I'll see you again soon.